Good morning, everybody. I wanted to make this video from the perspective of a prospective buyer of the new Antigravity A1 drone. In case you're new here, most of my content is focused on camping and overlanding, but I also like making videos about things that I like, and one of those things is cameras and gear. I've always been interested in new gear. I try to keep up with what's out there. A little background on me, I got interested in photography, got my first camera in 2016. Started dabbling with video in 2018. Also in 2018 is when I got my first drone. That was the Mavic Pro from DJI. And then a little bit after that, I downgraded to the Mavic Air and then upgraded to the Air 2. And then the drone that I've been using for the last couple of years is the Mini Pro 3. I think the Mini Pro 3 is the perfect drone for me. The video quality and the photo quality are as good as I would need. I like that it shoots in landscape or portrait. You can choose. It's small and super portable, has great battery life. For my needs, I wouldn't need anything more than the Mini Pro 3. And to be honest, part of the only reason that I was even looking into the Antigravity A1 is because of the potential for the DJI shutdown or DJI to get banned. I know this has been going on for a long time, but just in case, I was just looking at what other brands are out there. So of course, this new drone company caught my eye. I know Antigravity is a separate company from Insta360, but I know there's some sort of collaboration between the two companies on this drone. I believe Antigravity kind of used the cameras from Insta360. So in terms of what I'm talking about, I'm kind of partnering Insta360 and Antigravity in this video. Also, over the past year, I've become a huge fan of Insta360. I got the X5, the Insta360 X5 this summer, and I think that they are marketing geniuses. Their marketing's awesome. I know they work with a lot of influencers, and their influencers are very influential. They've definitely influenced me. It's gotten to the point now where I kind of see Insta360 as the gold standard of action cameras. I know for a while it's been GoPro and DJI, but at this point, like, if I'm considering an action camera, I'm kind of going to Insta360 first. And I think a lot of that is because of the way that they've been doing their marketing and working with their influencers. They've been doing a really good job with that. But anyways, getting back to the Antigravity A1, I wanted to make this video, again, from the perspective of a prospective buyer. I'm not sponsored by or affiliated with Antigravity or Insta360 in any way. I'm not a professional or anything. I'm just a hobbyist, and I just wanted to give my thoughts on if I think it's worth switching from the DJI Mini Pro 3 to the Antigravity A1 drone. Any opinions I give on this drone are obviously not based on my use with it, because at the time of recording it hasn't even come out yet. All my opinions are based on the marketing from their website, things I've read online, and stuff I've watched from other YouTubers who have had early access to the drone. And I'm trying to keep in mind that a lot of those influencers who had early access to the drone probably are sponsored by Antigravity, or else they wouldn't have had early access to the drone. And I know when there's sponsored posts, sometimes, content creators are being honest, sometimes they're not. So I'm just trying to keep that in mind with my opinions. With that being said, here are my thoughts on the Antigravity drone and if I think it's worth upgrading to based on what we know so far. So first, just taking a look at the drone itself, it looks a lot like most of the other drones out there, except of course it's got this camera on top and then this camera on the bottom, which makes for the 360-degree view. One of the things that I think I would love the most about it is the fact that since you are recording in 360, you don't have to worry about your framing. That can sometimes be one of the hardest parts when flying a drone is, finding the right frame. And since it's recording everything in 360 degrees, you don't have to worry about that. Also, from watching Potato Jet's video on this drone, he made a really good point that since you don't have to worry about framing, it might be easier to fly through tight spaces. Since you're not worrying about your framing, you can just focus more on where you're flying through. And since it's recording in 360, you can just worry about your framing in post-processing instead of while you're flying. One of the reasons I upgraded to the Mini Pro 3 is because I loved that it could shoot in landscape or portrait. So while you're flying, you can choose and you can change the orientation of the lens. And again, where this is flying in 360, I'm assuming it's similar to the Insta360 X5, where you just film whatever you want, and then you can adjust it to be in landscape or portrait or whatever orientation you want when you're editing. And another reason this could be really important is because you can edit the same footage to be 16:9 for YouTube or 9:16 for Instagram, if you're just filming in that wide 16:9, it can be really hard to cut the footage to be 9:16 if you want it on TikTok or Instagram. So with this, you're shooting everything and then you can cut for both. Huge advantage for this drone. Next, we're going to talk about the controller. So this is going to be one of the biggest differences coming from DJI. Instead of using the typical two-handed, thumb joysticks, this uses a joystick that you just hold in one hand. It's obviously going to take some getting used to, but I think this could give a huge advantage to like having more precise movements when turning. I know for me, when I'm using the thumb joysticks, it can be really difficult to get your thumb to move perfectly where those turns of the drone are smooth. And I think this case where you're moving your whole arm, you could be a little bit more careful with it and potentially get smoother movements. I believe for the controller, like when you're holding it, you just turn it in the direction you want and then the drone will move. One of the concerns I would have would be the responsiveness to it. If you're just moving very subtly, is it going to detect that movement? I'm sure that's something they tested, but that's something that I'd be interested to see how responsive the controller is to your arm movements. So yeah, I don't think it would take that long to get used to the new controller, but I'd be very interested to see how responsive it is. The goggles would be one of my biggest concerns when it would come to the idea of switching to this drone, but at the same time, I think the goggles are one of the coolest features. The main thing for me, the only thing I don't think I would like about the goggles is that I would want the option to not need the goggles. I feel like, maybe it's just because I'm used to it, but I feel like I would want to be able to be aware of my surroundings and have the option to just look at a screen, see what's around me, and fly the drone that way somehow. And then, I think the goggles, though, at the same time would be awesome to be able to have your drone in the air and see this immersive 360-degree view. It almost sounds like an experience, like you would go somewhere just to get this experience. I know some of the YouTube videos that I watched, people described it as like, it's like you're playing a video game. So yeah, I'm not against the goggles, but I would want there to be a way to fly without the goggles and then have the option to use the goggles when you want them. Next up, video quality. I know a lot of the YouTubers who got early access to the drone did not get the final version of the drone, but one of my concerns would be video quality. For most of the video I shoot on this channel, I'm using my Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra phone, and then I also use my Insta360 X5. And, in perfect lighting, the Insta360 X5 takes very good quality video, but it's not as good as the phone. And for a lot of what I do, like the shots that I can get with my X5, it's worth sacrificing the video quality a little bit because it can get shots that my phone just can't get. When it comes to the drone, I feel like it would be similar. Like the Mini Pro 3 that I have takes exceptional quality video and photo, in my opinion. And in the footage I've seen, like it didn't look like the quality of the Antigravity A1 drone was as good. Again, we got to see what it looks like when the final version is released. But I feel like for my drone footage, I would not want to sacrifice quality for, the benefit of having the 360-degree angle. That's my opinion right now. That might change, but you could tell a difference between the DJI drones and the Antigravity drones in what has been released so far in terms of video quality. That's just something to keep an eye on, especially where this is Antigravity's first drone. Video quality would be important to me, probably more important than having the 360-degree shooting. I'm not going to talk too much about battery life because I haven't seen any official specs released yet. My Mini Pro 3 is rated for 34 minutes with a small battery, and then there's an upgraded battery that's rated for up to 47 minutes. I'm extremely happy with its battery life. I would really want the Antigravity to give at least 30 minutes. And not to stir anything up, but I saw a blog on Hover Air's website, and they quoted Engadget said that it gets 15 minutes of fly time, but that's just not true. Engadget was just reporting its findings based on a 15-minute flight, but the Engadget blog or page on that didn't actually say that it has 15 minutes of fly time. In her video, iJustine said that they are also releasing a version with a small battery that would keep the drone under 250 grams, as well as a larger battery, just like the Mini Pro 3 has. So I'm interested to see what the battery life is going to be rated for. And then size, this is pretty much the last thing I'm going to talk about. Like I just kind of mentioned, it sounds like the drone is going to be 249 grams, under the 250, and the reason that's important, if you don't know already, is that A lot of countries have stricter rules and regulations if a drone is 250 grams or higher. Maybe I missed it, but I couldn't find official dimensions listed, but in the videos I watched, it did look like the drone would be a pretty similar size to my Mini Pro 3, which is actually pretty impressive, I think. The only other thing that I'd really like to find out that I can think of for now is how it performs in the wind. In conclusion, I'm definitely intrigued by this drone, and I'm interested to see what the pricing is going to be like and what people think about it after it's come out. Watching iJustine's video made me feel like this is like the next generation of what's to come. Kind of like the jump from the DJI Phantom to the Mavic series. Am I gonna get this drone? Maybe at some point, but definitely not right away, but I'm looking forward to keeping an eye on it. Once again, this video was not meant to influence you in any way. I just wanted to get my thoughts out there. Leave a comment about what your thoughts are on the new Antigravity A1 drone, and if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. See you next time!